Sustainability is a term we throw around a lot. Like a lot. From clothes to travel, food and politics, we have reached a point where everything is labeled sustainable. Brands use it to constantly promote their products and services, and consumers label certain acts and events as sustainable when they feel a certain way or live up to certain expectations. I guess many consumers have reached a point where sustainability is so abstract that it becomes overwhelming to simply figure out what is greenwashing and what is actually legit, solid. In the everyday lives of consumers and individuals, sustainability simply just means doing something good for the planet, right? And when we look at our own lives, it's okay to use a more abstract version of sustainability, to use a more fluffy terminology, because our lives are constantly affected by things we cannot really control. So doing whatever we can, when we can, that's sustainability. When it comes to consumer action, when it comes to individual action, sustainability can mean many different things. I completely agree. And I've said that many times on this channel, I believe. Sustainability can mean many different things and look a million different ways because we live different lives, have different initiatives, services and options available to us. We're differently abled, we have different budgets and different family structures, etc. What I'm trying to get at is that people are different, so what they can do for the planet is also different. And that's okay. There are some things that everybody can participate in. Normalizing the conversation about climate change, which will drive the incentive for people to act according to the situation that we're in. Or support frontrunners, activists and high profiles that drive this narrative either with money or with engagement, simply by supporting people that talk about sustainability. And we can all reassess our consumption patterns and buy less, buy better, higher quality, and buy different things. And many of us can vote. However, when we hear terminology used every single day and in so many different ways, we also end up letting it slide when it's used incorrectly. I have something in my lipstick. And sustainability is by far one of those terms that is used incorrectly the most. Companies are allowed to call themselves sustainable based on their own assessment of themselves. And they do that constantly. Companies often also praise their own sustainability efforts the second they simply comply with local environmental regulation, which should be the bare minimum.
It's sustainable in the way that it's sustaining their business model.
A lot of businesses also like to praise their own sustainability efforts the second they introduce recycled materials or offer a plant-based option. These are not bad things. These are not just enough to make something sustainable. I have seen products being branded as sustainable for the tiniest of efforts. The bare minimum and often less than that. Stuff like using napkins made from recycled paper or carbon offsetting the shipping. The bar is on the floor. Now, calling yourself sustainable for these types of efforts is clearly greenwashing, something we have talked about in great detail on this channel already. Because it's simply everywhere, and a lot of brands, many brands, most brands, in fact, think that they can easily and cheaply wash their hands in green terminology or the tiniest green actions, and that will result in admission into the green field, which it should not. But alas, that's what happens. Sometimes, and this is my own ridiculous metaphor, but sometimes sustainability feels like a club. A sustainability club, where brands are allowed in if they have something to show for it. And that can be anything on the greenwashing to solid actions spectrum. The admission could be recycled materials, carbon offsetting, life cycle assessments, conscious collections, green packaging, certifications, fair wages, public reports, and yeah, basically anything. There might be different levels of sustainability within the club, but nonetheless, you're in the club. And there might be brands, businesses or governments outside the club, some pretending to have a ticket for the club when they in fact don't, or some that just don't care that the club is even there. This metaphor is getting a little bit out of hand, but stay with me. Recently, the club started having a more visible divide within the levels of the club. So there is the main floor where everyone can go, and then there's the VIP room. And not every company, business or government can go into the VIP room because you need more green actions to go there. But a lot of brands, companies or governments don't really care because they're in the club and they can now tell their friends that they got in and maybe get their friends in next weekend. I'm going to stop this metaphor now. What I'm trying to get at here is that sustainability means so many different things to consumers, mostly because we've heard it used in so many different contexts. So we end up assuming that this wide variety of applications for sustainability also applies to governments, products, brands, corporations. But there is a very clear definition of what sustainability is. We just don't really use it enough. And when we don't know it or think about it, we cannot apply it whenever someone is shoving sustainability promises and claims into our faces, which is what happens every single day. Even if you don't care about sustainability, also welcome to my channel, and this is a wild video to start out with, but Even people that don't care about sustainability have a relationship with this word because we're hearing it all the time, and we never apply the formal, actual definition of what sustainability is. Let's look at that. In 1987, the Brundtland Commission issued the report Our Common Future, in which it highlighted the definition of sustainable development. And it goes something like this. Sustainable development meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This is a really broad definition, but it's the one we have, and it's the one we should keep in mind whenever we hear claims and promises regarding sustainable action. And the reason why that is because this definition relies on evidence. Data. According to this definition, if something is sustainable, you should be able to prove that the service or product that you're offering or the action that you're partaking in does not come at the expense of future generations and their basic needs. Now, obviously, that is an extremely difficult thing to prove. And it should be. If you want to call your product sustainable, you should be able to prove with the data, not just with vibes, that there won't be economic, health-related, environmental, or climate-related consequences for future generations, making them unable to meet their needs. And this excludes about 99% of the ones that are calling their products, brands, and policies sustainable. So when you see a company that's calling their product sustainable, but they still rely on overconsumption in their business model, well, it can't really be sustainable now, can it? Or when companies simply carbon offset or create a conscious line in addition to their normal products, their regular products, then the resource use in that supply chain will still have dire consequences for people of the future. Now, hear me out on this. I don't think companies and products should be called sustainable at all. And this is something that consumers, but in reality more so governmental entities, should demand from brands that they don't do, because they cannot prove, at least 99% of them cannot prove, that they're actually sustainable according to the official definition. And now that you know this, I will guarantee you that you will start to see brands and companies and governments find their own neat little definitions of what their sustainability means. However, that doesn't fly for companies, brands, and politics. That only flies for consumers and what we do in our own individual households, because guess what? Individual action doesn't have the same impact as structural systemic action. Therefore, we should hold those entities to a higher standard so consumers have better, more sustainable frameworks to work within. I'm getting worked up over this. Moving on. Now, I understand that using sustainability as a marketing tool can be an extremely effective communicative way of telling consumers that, hey, this product is better than the average product that you see on the market. However, that communicative effect comes at the expense of transparency. I don't think brands should call themselves sustainable because for the most part, the vast majority of cases, it's misleading. Instead of publishing a sustainability report, publish an impact report. Sustainability is a loaded word, which means that when you put it into the title of the report you're making, you're already insinuating that this product is going to be more sustainable. An impact report is a neutral starting point. And instead of referring to a product or material as sustainable, describe it for what it is. Recycled cotton, stainless steel, made in a closed loop system, all this jazz, using locally grown ingredients. Having products being described for what they are or what they do instead of just sustainable makes it also a lot easier for consumers to actually navigate through what they are buying. But sustainability is a selling point. I get that. We have the proof that shows it. Consumers are gravitating towards products that are labeling themselves as sustainable because consumers want to act sustainably. And the only way we know how to act within this system that we're present in is by buying things that reflect our values. We want sustainability, so we're buying products that tell us they're sustainable. We are gravitating towards the products that are promising us the future that we wish for. Which is an extremely dramatic way of putting it, but isn't that what's happening though? And don't get me wrong, products can be better for the planet than other products. And there are tons of good things, we talk about those a lot on this channel as well, that are being done to make sure we're changing the status quo of different productions and supply chains. Things that are really good that's happening. Products and companies that are lowering their production impact, paying fair wages to workers. But does that mean that the official definition of sustainability applies? Not necessarily. As the climate crisis intensifies, I think it's more important than ever to demand a high standard for what we can see labeled as sustainable. because sustainability is a big promise. And soon I think we will see a social tipping point in what consumers are willing to put up with. And soon throwing words around like sustainability is going to give a brand a really bad rep. Anyway, that was it for today's video. It's a little bit shorter than I'm used to, but I really wanted to talk to you guys about this and make an official video about what we mean when we say these words and how we are going to have to change the way we think about sustainability, not necessarily within our own households, but especially so when looking at things that are promoted and sold to us. The importance of that is only going to intensify. So getting a good overview as a consumer of what can also legally be sold to you and promised to you, I think is really important. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you liked it. If you did, leave me a comment down below or a thumbs up. That would make my day. And let me know if you want other types of content on this channel, what you want to see, what you want me to talk about. I'm all ears. Let's go. Have an amazing day and take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero-waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!